So if you're an entrepreneur or a speaker and your origin story is boring, you've already lost. You already know how important your story is, but the biggest mistake I see entrepreneurs making is how they're telling the story. It's the difference between no money and it's the difference between millions of dollars. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 essential strategies that you have to have inside your story. And then I'm going to break down each element so you can do it too. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a bonus tip for how you can use that message to speak on stages everywhere, impact more people, and make tons of money from it. So when I first heard about what an origin story, I was like, what is that? I was like, is that the origin story like of my life? And then I heard nobody cares about that, but here's what they do care about. They care about the origin story of how you discovered your system. Everybody can relate to having a problem and then finding a solution. So your origin story of your system should be how you had a problem and how you discovered your solution. When you start telling the origin story of your system, it starts creating desire in your audience to have that very same solution. So here are the 3 things you have to do when you're writing your $1 million origin story so that you can make the most amount of money. Number 1, don't tell the origin story of your life. Many times people start their story too far back, like way before we need to know. Start your story at the point of right before you had the problem. Set the scene. Where were you? What did it look like? And what did you feel? Then talk about the problems that you were experiencing in your life, in your emotions, in your relationships, in your business, whatever it is that you're trying to sell. Go really deep into what that problem was that you were facing and how it made you feel. Tip number 2 in your story is make it about them. Quickly switch your story to, have you ever experienced this? Switch the story from first person I to second person you. As soon as you start using the word you, the audience is going to start seeing themselves in the movie, in the story. Just like when you're at the movies and you lose yourself in the movie and you lose yourself in the story, you forget that you're there. That is exactly the point in the story where your audience, if they start to hear the word you, they're going to start to transport themselves into your story. Tip number 3 is talk about how you found your solution. Where did you go? Did you go to a conference, an event, or did you read a book? Did you meet a guide or a mentor who coached you into that solution? Talk about how you found the solution. Start to talk about how that made you feel. Say things like, oh my gosh, I suddenly found this breakthrough, or I started feeling all of this peace. I started experiencing new levels of excitement and exhilaration and joy. Talk about the solution and how it made you feel. Okay, now a bonus tip is invite your audience to respond. Especially if you're online, invite them to write in the comments if they've ever experienced this problem, or if they've ever wanted to find a solution like this, or imagine how they would feel if this happened. Start to provide engaging questions to your audience. Why? Because the more engaged your audience is, the more likely they are to buy. It's just like Newton's laws of physics, that an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted on by an outside force. But if you get an object in motion, it will remain in motion unless acted on by an outside force. If you get your audience in motion, engaging with you in the comments, engaging with you live and on stage, the more they're going to be in motion to buy. Another bonus tip for you is don't get bored of your origin story. You may get tired of it, but the audience will never get tired of a really good origin story. Why? Because we love stories. It's just like those #1 hits that musicians put out there. People want to hear the same song over and over. And if your origin story is awesome, people want to hear it again. So get out on as many stages as possible, online, podcasts, live events, conferences. People will love to hear your story over and over and over again. Because if you've got a story and you've got a message and you've got a product to share, the best way to get it out to the world is by growing your platform and by speaking. And I have a totally free training where I show you all my best tips and strategies for becoming a speaker and making tons of money from it. Just click the link below to learn more.